All right, the band is going to go get ready. They're going to be out here in one moment. They're going to give you a free sample of what you can
thank you guys very much, man.
Thank you.
Fuck yes. See you this summer. Free sample coming up of what you can expect for Crüe Fest 08 when it comes to your town. But right now, we're going to take a look at what went on behind this year's deal.
Crüe Fest, starring Mötley Crüe. Mötley Crüe with Buckcherry, Papa Roach, 6 a.m. and Trapped. Crüe Fest, the loudest show on earth. Powered by therockvine.com. So loud.
If you look at rock right now in the marketplace, there's a renaissance in rock. Rock has come back in a big way. So, we celebrate rock as an important part of music today.
Yeah, I think there has been a resurgence of rock in radio, almost as like the default setting. When we don't know what else to do, we'll kind of roll it back to that, because at least we knew back then that this was huge. There were these massive bands that were mass appeal, with mainstream audiences.
I have watched my sons, who are 8 and 10, discover all the greatest rock and roll and really learned rock history, not from me, but from the games they play.
I have a 14-year-old stepson, and we got Rock Band, and he said, this is the first game that you and I can actually play together. When the game was released in November, we instantly saw a huge upswing in sales.
I mean, I do think that now is a good time for rock and roll because of Rock Band, because they're getting kids who are into R&B or into hip-hop, or even into the newer stuff coming out, into good rock and roll, into the power of picking up a guitar.
The fantasy of being a rock and roll star is a pretty universal appeal that a lot of kids have and a lot of grown-ups have. So that is exactly what we're trying to capture with this game. At Harmonic, we're pretty excited to work with such an established band like Mötley Crüe. They've been around for years. They kind of fit our game perfectly.
You cannot overestimate the impact that video games like Rock Band have had on our audience of all ages.
Video games have done a great job of exposing this younger generation to rock riffs and rock bands and great rock songs. And that's where I think now you're going to see the younger bands come in, especially ones that have had great crossover appeal, like Papa Roach had Scars and Buckcherry's got Sorry.
Rock and roll is now in the mainstream again, and who would have thought, because we were doing it for a lot of years when it wasn't, so it's nice to see it come back around. I always knew it would, because rock and roll is timeless music.
You see it now with the Buckcherrys, who are, have gotten played on, hot adult contemporary stations and top 40 stations. Certainly, they have a huge female audience. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if this show, if Crüe Fest, ended up being as popular with women as with men.
It's pretty common to have a festival that is one very, very tight genre, and you only expect to see guys from age 18 to 22 there. I think that the audience is going to be so diverse there, and that's why we write music in the first place, to reach as many people as we can.
The young music fan can sense this sort of authenticity about music.
When you turn up the rock and roll, it's like there's honesty in it, there's truth in it, and it's fun, you know what I'm saying? And it's a release. And that's why this summer I'm stoked about, bringing rock back on a massive level, and being part of it, being part of that movement.
I'm thrilled to death that rock is now making a huge resurgence, because when other manufacturers in the car stereo world went to hip hop and rap and this, we've always stayed rock. And part of that reason is the rock fan is a true fan. They are fans of brands that support the musicians, and they are loyal fans.
Well, as the publisher of Nikki Sixx's Heroin Diaries, I'm just thrilled by the fact that this book has spent more than 6 months on the New York Times bestseller list. There's no doubt in my mind that rock and roll is back.
I knew The Dirt was going to do well when people who weren't even from the rock and roll world were getting into it. I remember I was at a concert like Moby told me his favorite book. Then Pink, the pop singer, told me she read it on the road. And then I knew that there was something more to this band and this book.
When you think about rock royalty, you have to look at, great music that stood the test of time, and bands that can sell as many CDs or downloads or concert tickets today as they did, 20, 30, 40 years ago. There are a few bands that fit in that category. I mean, you look at Led Zeppelin, the Beatles. When it came to great rock and roll in the 80s, there was Mötley Crüe, and everyone kind of followed along.
Mötley Crüe have emerged as an incredibly influential band. They really are one of the standard bearers for rock and roll. Mötley Crüe are still relevant. They're still cool.
The 6 a.m. project shows these artists are all one record away from having a hit again, and I think that Mötley Crüe certainly can have a massive commercial hit single album. But I think it's more about the event, and it's more about sort of having these guys who were, really the last rock stars.
Rock and roll is about stars. When you have a lineup of 6 a.m., Trapped, Papa Roach, Buck Cherry, Mötley Crüe, you have the stars. Crüe Fest is about rock and roll stars.
I heard a rough cut of Saints of Los Angeles like 2 days after it was done in the studio. And when I heard that song, I'm like, yeah, that's a Mötley song. That's like, this is classic Mötley Crüe. These guys have got it back together again, and I know they're going to make a great record.
I got asked, the guys in the crew, wanted us to be on the track, wanted me to be on the track, and I was like, I can't believe this. I can't believe that they want me to sing on their song. That's for me, that's like an honor, a complete and total honor. And this song is just like, I think, the perfect first single, for what they're doing. And the sound is killer, and the chorus is awesome. And I really am glad to be part of this track. Rock is back.
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 Rock is back.